Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the November 16 meeting. I would recognize a motion. There's been a motion for a second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say, oops, I'm sorry. Voted. Now we have 6 suburban school district applications for funding. If you could go through them, Mr. Winger, and we will vote on them all at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 5 from Crooked Oak for your consideration today. The first is athletic uniforms for the high school, $14,661. The second, computers for Central Oak and the high school, $25,320. The third, athletic lockers for the high school, $26,500. The fourth, furniture for Central Oak, $134,567.77. And then the final one from Crooked Oak is a land purchase for future district expansion, $710,000. So the total for Crooked Oak with these 5 applications is $911.48. The 6th application is from Midwest City Del City. It's a parking lot expansion at Parkview, $79,224.21. Each meets the requirements of the suburban MOU, and we recommend approval.
Is there any reason from any member that we shouldn't vote on them all at the same time? Seeing none, I recognize a motion to that effect.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll vote. Next, we're being asked to approve the schematic design for Capitol Hill Elementary School, Project ES66.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have several presentations for you this afternoon. The first is Capitol Hill Elementary. We do have Ryan Eshelman here from GSB to make the presentation and answer any questions that you may have.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Appreciate this opportunity to explain to you what we're doing at Capitol Hill Elementary School. We just completed schematic design. Capitol Hill was originally built as a junior high. It is a very large 3-story facility. It's been in use as an elementary school for many years. Let's see here. Any forward here? Okay. This facility is actually losing students due to the creation of Chavez Elementary. So this facility is being designed for a student population of 707 students, which is less than its current population. So we actually are in a unique position of having much more square footage than we actually need. Thank you very much. We have more square footage than we need, which creates a kind of a unique project. Again, 707 students. One of the major things that we're going to do is relocate the media center. It's occupied 3 converted classrooms for many, many years. It's a very awkward linear space. They've never really had a grand, significant media center, so we'll be addressing that issue. And then obviously the other objectives that are common to many of the other projects. The only addition to this project will be a new entrance, and we're actually going to be removing one of 2 gyms on the property to create the space to accommodate that change. So we're actually losing square footage, but we're making for an much improved facility in that process. Brief diagram of the site analysis here. You can see how constricted the site is. The gym on the northwest corner is what will be removed to free up some land to provide some parking and drop-off. This facility is like many. The historic entrance is on Robinson Avenue, grand old facade, but is no longer functioning as the entrance to the school. That happens presently on 26th Street, and there are enormous congestion problems, access problems, traffic issues with loading and unloading students before and after school. And the buses currently actually queue up on Robinson in one of the traffic lanes in front of the school, on the east side of the school. So we're going to be addressing all of those issues as a part of this work. Again, list of some of the renovation items. We're working to prioritize that with the principal and school staff so that as the project moves forward, we will take the most important ones into the project, and if any of them have to be eliminated due to cost issues, we'll have appropriately prioritized those for deletion. But this is an overview of those issues that we're addressing. One of the most significant things, many schools are getting elevators for handicap accessibility. This school actually has so many levels in it that we're going to need a series of ramps and 2 separate elevators in order to provide handicap access to every classroom. So it's a really complicated accessibility problem that we're addressing. This is the site diagram that was recommended and by our firm, and the principal, staff, and others have agreed with this assessment, so we're proceeding with recommended option 1. As you recall, we're deleting that gymnasium. That's going to create a new west entrance. We'll have a new drop-off area and some limited visitor and handicap parking there on the property. The playground will be reworked, new equipment, existing equipment relocated, new landscaping. We'll be removing some deteriorated blacktop, some of those elements that are kind of unused portions of the property. So we'll have a new playground and some new drop-off and parking amenities. We're actually working around an existing transformer to try and be prudent with the funds that we've been allocated. We're also extending the existing drop-off loop to accommodate buses, so the buses will no longer have to do their loading and queuing on Robinson. So Robinson will still be the handsome historic facade of the building, but the entrance will now be on the west. And hopefully that will address some of the wayfinding issues. First time I arrived, I wandered around the building, trying to find which door wasn't locked, so we'll solve that problem. Quick diagram of the building. One of the significant changes we're going to make is to move the administrative office from the second floor adjacent to our new entrance. So no longer will you wander in the door and wander around the building trying to find the principal's office, and obviously the security concerns that come with that. So there'll be a new office suite adjacent to the entrance. So there'll be, in addition to security measures, there'll be eyes on the door. We're also keeping the lower grades downstairs. The kindergarten and pre-K kids will be nearest to the playground. And we're taking the media center and relocating that into an existing abandoned swimming pool area. So it's kind of a large space with some windows. We're taking advantage of that and creating a more significant media center with better proportions and better support space. Again, classroom space upstairs. Ages increase as we go upstairs. We're doing our best to minimize moving walls and those kinds of things, but we'll be making upgrades to restroom facilities and finish improvements throughout the building. But we're trying very hard not to radically redesign the interior and add cost to the job. And again, the third story, which is kind of odd for an elementary school, will have the highest grades. So that's the arrangement of the spaces in the building. It won't be dramatically changed from the exterior, and our new addition will be in keeping with the historic facade, so wayfinding should be improved, and the overall site plan should work much better. This is a best-case scenario schedule. Here we are in November. In any event, whether it's early in the summer or later in the summer, we would expect this project to begin this summer and proceed on the contractor's schedule from that point. And at current, we are within the project budget, so we'll continue to monitor that vigilantly and adjust the scope items as we need to stay within that target. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Question, Chairman, the new front, is that going to look like the old building, or is it going to be more modern? Have we seen that yet?
We have not developed those elevations. When we come back in preliminary report, we'll show those to you. It's our assessment and the principal's agreement that it should be very much in keeping with the historic building. We're not going to match it, but we're going to use similar materials and massing and elements, and it will be familiar to the architecture of the building.
What did the public think of this? The community groups, they like the idea?
Well, the community meeting was sparsely attended, but the staff meeting was very productive and very encouraging, and so we've had positive feedback to this point.
Okay.
And I think if nothing else, the site improvements and the access improvements, the parents are going to notice dropping off and picking up kids how much better things work. So even if they don't set foot inside the building, I think they'll be pleased with the changes.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Following what Patrick was asking, how old is this building and what is the square footage currently, and are you planning on trying to do some restoration to some historical portions of the building?
I'm speaking from memory. I think there's about 150,000 square feet in the building, give or take. The building was built originally in 1920. There were numerous additions that happened almost on a 2 or 3 year basis, but by World War II, this building was fully built out. So it was basically during the 20s and 30s. So it's significantly old building, we are going to be improving some of the finishes, but elements like there's a brick wainscot in the hallways, historic original brick. We're going to be restoring and retaining that. I wish we had a couple more $1 million in the budget, because in the auditorium underneath some really drab plywood that was hung in the 50s or 60s, there was a beautiful ornate ceiling and stage surround. You could do a $2 million project in the auditorium if you had the money. So we won't be restoring every jewel that's hidden in that building, but we're going to be paying particular attention to the historical elements. We'll be doing restoration and cleaning on the exterior. So the building will look better, and the spaces that the students are using all the time will be much improved. But there will be some historical elements that we won't have the funds to fully restore to their original splendor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd recognize a motion to approve this schematic design.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Been moved to a second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We now have 3 preliminary reports. First preliminary reports for Hayes Elementary School Project ES 62.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have Mike Tyler here with LWPB Architecture to make the presentation and answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here again. We would like to update from where we were at the schematic design for Hayes Elementary. Just go through the usual things that you see: site and facilities assessment, the design concepts, and the other items. Feel free to ask me any questions. Stop me if there's any question along the way. Hayes is to be a 371-student pre-K through 6th grade school. It had $1.8 million that was designated for remodel of the existing building, and we have a 14,000 square foot addition that we have added to it. A lot of that consists of 4 new classrooms. We have a new media center and computer lab, which, like most of the schools, those were undersized. The admin area as well has been relocated, and for numerous reasons, which we can show you when we get to the plan. Site and facilities assessment had a lot of the same things that you would see. It's a 2-story school, needs an elevator, windows are dated, needs upgrading as far as the exterior look, so the doors and canopies will get painted, needed improvements such as fire hydrants around there to adequately cover the building, had things such as the handicap toilets or the ADA accessible toilets, water fountains, computer cabling, all the things that you would normally see and were identified a long time ago. Now, there are some additional items that we have identified that we are able to do in this scope, which are fairly major. One of the things that we identified in the schematic design was that the current entrance to the building is inadequate. Sight lines, security, identification from the outside, and the area that is allowed currently for administrative functions was inadequate. And in looking at the site, it made perfect sense to go ahead and relocate the administrative area, and it also serves to help with the site function as well. Allows for better control, better security, a single point of entry that's controllable during the day. And then in addition to that, as we went forward with the building design, we tried to make sure that we were complementary, but not necessarily dated. The building was originally built in the late 50s or around that time, and the look now really does look dated. So we took some of the elements and tried to carry them forward into something that's a little bit more modern design, but something that will last. For the interior, media center and computer lab, both of those are occupying classrooms, which will then revert to being classrooms. And so this helps with dealing with some of the portables that are there, which are really in substandard condition. The elevator, the classrooms, you'll see in the next few slides. As far as the site layout, we were very fortunate to have a tremendous amount of site. And what we looked at was that we could go out to the east with the new addition, the area that is colored in red, And you will see at the end of that, we also made provisions that additional classrooms are possible, which is a good thing, since the next phase of this is also the gymnasium with some additional classrooms, and that project has already been, has a request for proposals out. So as far as the master planning for this should go forward without any problems. And then as you see, the entry was on the west. You'll see that little nub that's sticking out there, which is very difficult to identify from the street. This allowed us to put the entry on the south side, extend the student drop-off and pickup, which is very difficult at the afternoon, during the afternoon hours. And so we were able to make, with this revision, improve the site circulation as well. The existing building is on the left side here, and the new addition is on the right. And the area that is down there with the teacher's lounge and special needs, that is the current teacher's lounge and administrative area. So we have increased that area. What we have done is take one of the media center just north of the teacher's lounge. That is the current media center. That will go to a pre-K classroom, and up on the second floor there is a computer lab that will revert to one of the, I believe, a third or fourth grade classroom. But as we organize this thing, we put the administration area out front where it has visibility, where during the day it can be locked down so that anybody coming as a visitor has to go through the reception area and check in before they can go into the classrooms or go back into the school. The media center right out front so that it has the visibility. One of the areas that's going to have the most function with the outside. Computer lab adjacent to it. Its function is changing as these programs have developed and the computer capabilities within the schools have developed. And then the classrooms to the east side so that they are able to be expanded. Then we have music and art and some of the other functions on the back. We have an elevator and stairs. One of the things that we have done from schematic design to preliminary report is take some of the comments that have been made by the staff that they needed toilets on both floors. And as you see on this second floor, you've got the stairs going up, you've got an elevator going up, and then you have toilets on the second floor that serve that area as well. Now, with the perspective here, you have the existing building to the left and the new addition as you're looking at the entry and media center. And what we've tried to do is pick up some of the horizontal elements that are there, but also keep some of the window elements, which are vertical elements, into the various classrooms to tie it together. Put a water course down along the bottom that picks up some of the other elements that are in the school, but to get away from that late 50s design and take it into a more modern design. Here's a rendering of the entryway, and as you can see, the glass and the visibility both into the media center and from the administration area for that control function. One of the things that we were also trying to do is add that, carry that splash inside. So that swoop element as you come in, it points down to an area that we are talking to the school about what we can have at the end of that hallway, which will be a significant element. And we've talked about, we have Hayes up there right now as the name for the school, but we have also talked to them about possibly doing tiles that the students could do, but have things that the students can have some input on that is a lasting memory that carries through. In this case, the administration is on the left, the media center is on the right. And this is looking back towards that entry. What doesn't show up in this is going down towards the classrooms. We are carrying through some elements and trying to jazz up the entries to the different classrooms. One of the things that we are doing in the existing building is changing out all the flooring finishes And there are two other items that we have been identified that are really critical to this school that we are able to get within the budget. We are replacing the roof, which is very dated, and we are adding fire sprinklers, fire suppression system to the existing building. So the whole building will have that fire suppression system. So with that, we are able to do some things with the ceiling elements and carry that through on both pieces, both the existing and the new. I apologize, but we do have the color board here, and again, we're trying to pick up the reds, go with the neutral palette, but things like the administration counter is going to have a bright red. In the media center, we're going to go with the darker color. The carpet has got symbols in it that, from chemical symbols to other things to show that educational component that will be in the media center, and then picking up some of the other things with splashes of accents. So I apologize that slide did not come off as well, but we had the board here. At this point, the budget, as I mentioned, we are just slightly over, but we're very conscious of that, and we've got options here that we can identify as alternates as we go through to construction. We are, on a almost $9 million budget. We are only $12,000 over, so we feel very good at this point, especially with adding the fire suppression system and the roofing. We are working diligently to move the schedule up. We are working on this so that we can get this first summer. Our original goal was to have 2 summers that they can work on some of the existing building with putting the fire suppression system in, and we are on track for doing that to try and get it to bid in April so that it can go out for construction in May. And with that, I will be glad to take any questions.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd recognize a motion to approve this preliminary report for Hayes Elementary School.
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is to approve the preliminary report for Rancho Village Elementary School, Project ES 61.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have TAP Architecture here to make this presentation and to answer any questions that you might have.
Excuse me. Good afternoon. My name is David Forgy with TAP Architecture. As Eric mentioned, I'm here to present Rancho Village Elementary School, which was originally constructed in 1949. One of the challenges that this school has is it's currently the magnet school for multi-handicapped students south of Northwest 10th Street in Oklahoma City. So like most of the other schools, they would have one multiple handicap classroom. This facility currently has 4, and those classrooms are about 1.5 size a typical multi-handicap classroom. And as you can see here, the existing building is in yellow. Our addition is in blue, and our approach was to demolish some of the corridors. Currently, the building has corridors where the interior finished ceiling height is only 7'4" above finished floor, and they're unconditioned. That low ceiling height does not allow for our sprinkler upgrade or any room to run any ductwork or cabling or anything of that matter. So our approach was to demolish approximately 2,500 square feet of corridor and rebuild that as part of the new addition. I'm sorry. And also on the site, they had some existing parking in the courtyards, which we are now making into exterior classrooms or outdoor classrooms. The parking that was in the courtyards was non-compliant. They just was not standard. So we're adding spaces to make up for that, as well as adding more spaces in the pick-up and drop-off line, which the school currently is very happy with and does not want to change because of the location it has to the multi-handicap classrooms. This is the proposed elevations. As you can notice, it's kind of hard to read. The existing building is a lighter color. We're keeping the same vocabulary in the new construction as the existing building, just It's a nice-looking building, and it was well thought out in 1949. And then the way we're tying into it, it just made sense to stay with that vocabulary, keep the open windows, and just differentiate it from the existing building with going with a slightly darker tone to make it stand out and let the community see that something has been done.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
What did you do with the roofs? You said the restored roofs.
Yeah, what we ended up doing was taking a roof that was the inside or the outside finished height of the roof was 8 feet, and we ended up raising those to 14 feet, basically building over the existing corridor and getting rid of it to allow for, now half the facility will have a 12 or 10-foot corridor.
The old side or the new side?
Excuse me?
The old building or the new building?
The new building, which was the corridor of the old building.
Oh.
So
We're
Pat,
tearing, yeah. Go
so I
ahead.
think as they put the new building next to the old building, and you look at the floor plan, there's some demolition of some of those existing corridors that are just really low ceiling heights, and they're able to replace about half of the corridors with a newer, higher ceiling. So there'll be some selective demolition of the existing building.
Good. Okay, that's my point. Are all the corridors going to be big, or are they still going to be small?
No, not all the corridors will be big, and that's a challenge that we have to overcome. There's just not the budget to redo every corridor. It's a single-loaded building, and there's a lot of corridor.
Okay.
This is one of the outdoor classrooms that I was talking about earlier. One of the problems that the school currently has is the classroom, the courtyards become used at night by people that aren't associated with the facility. They find unpleasant things there in the morning. What they would like to do is be able to close those off and make it a safe environment both during school hours and after school hours. So what we proposed is a center hinged gate that would allow it to be quite open whenever they want it to be and shut off during non-business hours. This is the floor plan I was talking about. As I said, the current facility was 35,000 square feet. We are demolishing about 2,500 square feet of corridor, building back that 2,500 square feet of corridor and adding about 12,500 square feet of new classrooms. And one of the biggest aspects is we've added almost 2,300 square feet of program to the multi-handicap classrooms that are on the lower left of the screen. And those are in that location because that's the bus drop-off, and the school just finds it easier and more convenient for that arrangement. This is as a interior rendering of the existing lobby. What we've done here is replace the ceiling and floor and repaint it. The new music and art room, with the new windows and the windows in the new building and the windows in the existing building will have the same look, and they will all be replaced and new. The media center will be basically have glass on two sides and be open to exterior or outdoor classrooms on either side of it. This is a floor finish plan, and as you can see, the colors, when we met with the principal, the colors that are a wayfinding material, so they know they're in the blue or yellow, red, orange corridor. And that seems to be one of their problems, having young children figure out which corridor they're in early on in a facility that's as spread out as this one. As far as our schedule, we are currently on schedule to finish construction documents the end of January for review for bidding in March, and begin construction April of next year, April of 2011, and finish in August of 2012. As far as the budget, we are currently over budget by $740,820, and that is mainly due to the increase to the square footage required by the additional multi-handicap classrooms. And that's the same number that we presented in the schematic design, report.
So if I might address that, we looked at the schematic design, and as David mentioned, typical school like this would have one handicap classroom that would serve those students of that area, but this one actually has 4. So as a part of the review process that we went through originally, we've added 3 more, which the school currently has and needs to have as a part of the renovation package. But that's 3 in addition to anything else that we're doing here at this school, and that comes at the cost of $700,000. There's also some additional improvements with the fire suppression and the roof replacement that are included in that total. But this is something that's necessary for us to move forward on. So following the trust approval or consideration for approval today, we would forward this on, and then there would be a subsequent PIP amendment that we would look at using program contingency funds to supplement that, and then we'd move forward with the final plans as described.
And you feel comfortable that there's adequate funds?
We were very comfortable that the funds are available to do this.
Are there any questions?
We're not creating any more courtyards than are currently there.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would ask for a motion to approve the preliminary report for Rancho Village Elementary School.
So moved.
Been moved. Or second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Final preliminary report is for Rockwood Elementary School Project ES 64.
And we do have Mass Architects here to make the presentation and answer your questions regarding this project.
My name is Matthew Radcliffe. I'm the architect from Mass Architects that's responsible for the management of the Rockwood Elementary remodel and addition. I'm kind of really excited as to where we are, building upon the recommended scheme that we presented with the schematic report. The scope of this project is pre-K through 6 for 653 students. Site facilities assessment was pretty typical to most of the elementary schools, so I won't go through each and every item there. Our recommended scheme and what we've developed here is to really address 2 main issues with the building. The northern section of the existing building is the 1958 addition, which is very discontinuous from the original construction of the 30s and 40s. It is discontinuous in just its building itself, as well as being 10 foot 6 feet below the others, giving us essentially a 3-level school. Only having a single connecting corridor and stairwell is an issue for the students and the faculty. And then with the grade change, they had water infiltration issues to the 58 addition, basically its entire existence. Our addition then is to add to the north building, but to do so that we actually build within the 2 buildings and allowing us to bridge across and connect the building in more than one place and alleviating the areas in which site drainage rolls water directly into the building. So our design here takes away most of their existing parking on the north side of the building. So we have a new drive loop and parking area off of 23rd Street. This will serve as the new front door to the school. Currently, the school, as it seems pretty typical with a lot of them presented today, the identity of the front door is pretty weak. So we try to correct that with a new entry. The existing parking area on 24th Street will be retained and extended to give us the number of parking spaces required. The floor plans, this is the first floor plan, which is the north side ground level. We have relocated the administration area adjacent to the new front entry and provided the kindergarten and pre-K rooms on that ground level. You will see there the media center, which is built in the existing space between the 2 buildings that has caused all the issues with rainwater. By putting a roof over that location, we can drain the rainwater through roof drains and surface drainage and get it away from the building rather than it going into the basement.
Yeah.
The second floor plan to the north side will bridge across and become the ground level on the south side of the building. We will stack our first grade classrooms on top of our kindergarten classrooms to gang up the plumbing in that location. The existing classrooms will be utilized. You will also notice the fourth grade classrooms at the very south end, where we are adding 4 classroom wing to that side, which we found was a part of the original 1937 design that was never constructed. We're able to do this and create symmetry about the most visible portion of the school and really be able to do it without adding a lot of extra circulation space. We're able to do that very efficiently. The existing media center will be utilized for the special needs areas, and the music and art room will be moved to the third floor, which is actually just the second level above grade on the south side. The 5th and 6th grade classrooms will be put on this level, the highest one up. The elevator is in the space between the two buildings, adjacent to the existing stairwell that connects the 58 addition to the original 30s and 40s construction. This is a rendering of the new addition off of 24th Street, and it pulls a lot of its lines from the original 1937 design, which at that time was a 1-story school, prior to adding the second floor in 1940. This is an overall view of that side. Our finishes to the addition are to sort of bridge between the very unornate 1958 addition and the more ornate 30s and 40s addition. So you'll see some cast stone elements and lintels just to kind of blend the two as we come across. The west elevation shows the 2-story addition to one side, and then you will see it bridge across and become the ground floor to the south side. The one little room sort of under that bridge is the pre-K area, and that has its own sort of side door, so we can create a play area for the pre-K kids that we can keep separate from everything else. Kind of an overall view showing how our addition will kind of plug into the two existing buildings. The interior design is to kind of use some natural tone colors that will blend with the existing terrazzo floor and stained concrete of the original construction that we're going to maintain. And we create these different accent colors within the classrooms to kind of orient different grade levels. The third floor has some existing wood floors which are in very good shape, and those will be simply refinished and protected throughout the renovation. This gives a depiction of some of the typical corridor areas. This is specifically at the main entry. And this kind of gives an idea of some of the accents in the classrooms. The media center I have affectionately referred to as the command center, to be kind of the central hub of the school, playing with the mascot, the Rockwood Rockets. We've kind of gone for a playful yet somewhat technical feel with some of the Rockets with dry erase board and the high monitors to allow some natural light into what would otherwise be a landlocked room. We've got a sort of a star field painted up high to kind of give a sense of height and whimsy, but we have a lot of bright white to kind of bounce the light around and make sure that the space stays kind of open and bright. This is an update of a drawing that we showed with the schematic report showing how we plan on building between the two buildings and really alleviate some of the water. We create kind of a rather large low roof to collect the water. We kept it low so that we're not blocking the windows into the existing building. And then we have got the high monitor area to allow us to get some vertical glazing to allow light into the media center. Looking at the budget, we are very close to the PIP budget. We are under by about $9,000, which is pretty tight. What that does not include is re-roofing the existing facility, which at the time of the site and facilities assessment wasn't necessarily an issue, but at this point we still see that it is. We estimate that value as another $232,000, in which through the construction document phase we'll kind of take a look and see if we can hopefully get that within the budget. If not, we're at the mercy of the bidding market at the time. Taking a look at the schedule again, kind of following suit with a lot of the other presentations. We're working diligently in getting the project moved forward. We're hoping to capture 2 summers for the existing renovation, but as the calendar shows here, I've only has it listed as during 1. So the phases are to do the addition first, and then next summer renovate the existing. Once that is complete, the portables can be removed and we can finish up the site work, hopefully to finish by fall of 2012.
Questions? Very interesting. Yes, good work.
The site elevations, you sure you got about the water? There's a study that
Excuse me?
keeping the water off the...
Yeah,
Fix that.
we truly believe that the way we've got it constructed, that we now have kind of kept the building huddled around itself to where we can just manipulate the grades so that the water will run. The water wants to run to the north and west, so we really feel that with the building being to the east of the site, that we can manage the site drainage without having to worry about a subterranean drainage system, which they have in place now and has completely failed. So
Yeah.
we really think we can do it without that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Ask for a motion to approve this preliminary report.
Make the motion.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Moving to change orders. Mr. Wing, we have 5 change orders. Could you go through them, please, and we'll vote on them after that?
I'd be happy to. The first change order that you have today is for Eugene Field Elementary School roof project. It's an increase of $44,788. Project's virtually complete. One of the items that has held us up somewhat is the replacement of some skylights, which is included in this change order, and it's probably the most significant item. It's item number 12 on page 2. The project was relatively small, and so the change order percentage is high. It's over 7%. You'll also notice that there are a few items on the change order that aren't specifically roof. This project was actually bid as a roof in some of the early package work for Eugene Field. Remembering that the school is built into a hill or into the grade, a lot of this was to get some of that early exposed walls and get it ready for the architectural project that is soon to follow. The second change order for consideration is change order number 7 for Hoover Elementary School. It's an increase of $4,388. Again, project's about 90% complete. There's 5 items. Most significant is the installation of some benches that are to replace some of the lockers. That it was just a more cost-effective option to replace those with benches than to re-raise the lockers that were there. They're just not required. Total changes on that project will be raised to 4%. Third change order, item number 6C, approved change order number 1 for Southern Hills Elementary School. This is a decrease of $1,875. Several items, there's 7. These are some of the early items. The project's about 20% complete in construction. Some value engineering items were identified, and those were offset with some of the additional items, which include asbestos abatement, some driveway modification, and some additional electrical outlets. The fourth change order is change order number 4 for Stand-Wady Elementary School, an increase of $67,028. Project substantially complete, 15 items. This will raise the total to 4.8%. Most significant items are the 2 items on page 1. Item 1, gas pipe relocation for $35,000. What we find in a lot of the historical schools is that a lot of the utilities that are located on site can't be located by OKC locate. So we've actually, since we've had this, the OKC locate services, the utility relocation services. Right. So with this, we're finding utilities as we're in the construction phase, which causes a great expense to the projects like we're seeing here. We've since this time engaged an annual contract with the City of Oklahoma City for private utility relocations that we hope to be able to avoid this better in the future, where where third-party companies can come in and actually do those locates that OKC services are not able to do. But that is the most significant item on this change order. And then the final change order for your consideration is item number 6E, change order 3 for Southeast High School, $82,550. Project's very well along the way, over 90% complete. 17 items on this change order that will raise the total percentage to just under 3. There's some electrical rim revisions that are required for $62,067. There's some masonry restoration that's quite significant. It's item number 6, $22,368. The last item is item number 17, and this comes to us from the school board. There were a series of basketball goals in the gymnasium that were renovated. The 2 primary goals. There were also 2 secondary goals, the cross-court goals, that the contractor chose to replace at their own expense. But once those were replaced, it left the 2 outdated goals there. And so this is a cost to actually replace the 2 remaining goals with glass backboards. It's all the apparatus that allows them to be raised electrically, removes all the old hand crank systems and such. And so that's a significant item at $20,000. I can answer any questions you might have on any of the change orders.
I'm sorry, you lost me on the goals. There were 2 goals that the contractors did replace. They were the original.
So the primary gym has 6 goals, 2 main, and then the four which are the 2 cross courts. And they chose to replace 2 of the cross court ones at their own cost. They were just deteriorated and thought it would be good to replace them. But then that left 2 that didn't look very good with the rest of the renovated gym. And so this is the cost to replace those last 2.
Okay.
Still scheduled to be completed in April of 2011, and it's on target to be completed?
They're very rapidly, they may beat that schedule. They're ahead of schedule at this point.
Other questions? If there's no disagreement, I'd like to ask for a motion for all 5 change orders to be approved.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. We'll vote. Thank you. Next item is to ratify the issuance of and approve addenda numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Award the contract base bid plus alternate number 1 and 2 to W.L. McNatt and Company in the amount of $4,342,000 and approved contract and bonds for Hawthorne Elementary School Project ES 52.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had excellent bids received on this project November 9th. 8 bidders, low bidders, W.L. McNatt. They've done several of our projects. They've done Gatewood, Britton, Kaiser, Fillmore, Linwood, and also are working on Capitol Hill High School. We were able to, with the budget, actually award alternates 1 and 2 within that budget, and that will include a drop-off and a complete roof replacement. And the project is still under budget by a little more than $1,000, and so we're recommending approval.
Any questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Passes. Next item is to approve the expenditure of funds for the purchase of furniture, fixtures, and equipment for Cesar Chavez Elementary School not to exceed $280,646, project ES 18.
Cesar Chavez has come quite a ways. If you've not been to Southeast Grand Boulevard, you'll notice a significant structure. A lot of the exterior painting is underway. The site looks very good next to the new Educare facility. But we're at a point now where the project scheduled for completion in the spring is to be occupied next fall, and we're ready to order the furniture. And so this just takes the PIP budget and authorizes its expenditure up to that amount as a part of the project. We recommend approval.
Other questions?
So moved.
It's been moved. Or second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Mr. Winger, standing in for Mr. Couch.
Thank you. We have, as a part of the general manager update, I wanted to just let you know projects are proceeding very well. We have several in construction, over 20 in construction, less than 20 that are in design, and I would anticipate by this time next year we'll have most of the projects out of design and into the construction phase. So the numbers of presentations that you're seeing on the design level are going to be decreasing over the next year, and then of course we're going to see a lot more change orders starting to appear on the agendas as we go through the next 2.5 years of Maps for Kids. One of the items that has come up, and we mentioned this at the last meeting, was Capitol Hill High School is in construction. And as a part of that work, the contractor began demolishing some of the auditorium and uncovered some of the historical architecture that was there. And so we've asked Gary Armbruster with MA Plus to come visit with us today and show you some of the items that have been uncovered. There's also a desire to restore a lot of that. It comes at a cost, and that's included as a part of this presentation as well. But let's proceed with the presentation, and then I think we can answer some questions that you might have following. Thank you for being here, Gary.
Good afternoon. I'm going to walk you through the process of how we got started, how we found out about it, and start from the beginning and come to where we are today. Give you a little background, review some of the existing drawings, proposed revisions, the cost, and it says Q&A at the end, but please feel free to ask any questions during the presentation. As Eric stated, the contractor did come across a lot of the original plaster ornament when they got into the ceiling above the existing auditorium. We were not able to get above that ceiling. It was inaccessible during design. So we were really surprised about 3 months ago to find, or about 2 months ago, to find a lot of that existing ornament up there. This is the plan of the auditorium. In the drawings right now, or in the project budget, we are renovating it. probably going to have over 1,000 seats in the auditorium when we're completely done. It's a very large auditorium for the district. I don't know if you can see these pictures very well, but this is really where we started. This is what the auditorium looked like when we got there about 2 years ago. It was renovated probably in the 50s or 60s. We don't really know for sure. The ceiling was dropped about 15 to 20 feet, depending on where you are in the auditorium. And the original plaster ceiling, come to find out once we were able to get above the ceiling, was removed. That ceiling was from the 1920s, 30s. So this modern ceiling was put in. A lot of the plaster, all the plaster ornament was covered. We didn't even know it was there. This is what we have in the drawings today. We were trying to replicate as much of what was originally there as possible. We have the original 1928 drawings. So you can see on either side of the stage we were replicating as best we could what we saw in the original drawings and what was there. But what's not here is the proscenium arch. We didn't know it existed. There's about 10 to 15 feet above this existing drawing, this drawing that we're showing here, that was discovered. And that's what we're going to show today. This is a section showing the ceiling from the 50s, 60s. It's there today. And again, above that, about 10 to 15 feet, is the original plaster ornament. And part of that ceiling is what we're talking about removing to expose that. This view shows the plaster ornament. The lower left-hand corner is on either side of the stage opening. That was covered by plywood and gypboard. It was totally hidden. We didn't even know it was there. The piece at the very top is the original proscenium arch. And the lower right-hand corner shows a close-up of the proscenium arch. You can still see the gold plated plaster faces, the original plaster ornament, really in good condition, but just hidden from the above the 1950-60 ceiling. This is a view of the original 1928 drawing showing what was there. There was a very ornate ceiling that was removed in the 50s. That's not there. But what we're trying to replicate is what you see in the upper left-hand corner, the two pieces on either side that are lower, the area around the stage opening, all the plaster ornament, and the proscenium arch. This is a section view showing that as well, but what this is really showing is how ornate the ceiling was, but that is not what we're trying to replicate. That's gone and would be cost prohibitive at this point. Today, the right-hand drawing shows what we're going to do as part of this change order. We're going to replicate both sides of the auditorium, those little pieces that are shown there, the proscenium arch. We're also adding the original, or not original, but a replica of the cast iron end standards to all the seating in the auditorium. We were able to do that as part of this change order. And if you look to the left, you can see how it mimics a lot like the original 1928 drawings. And this is a section view of what we're planning on doing. We're not removing the entire ceiling. We're just removing about 15 to 20 feet in front of the proscenium arch and raising it up to expose that arch. If we were removing the entire ceiling, I don't know what that would cost, but it would just be too cost prohibitive at this point. And this view shows the end standard that was in there. The picture on your left shows the original Capitol Hill chair and the end standard. And luckily for us, the company providing the seating can produce that almost exactly. So it will look almost exactly the same. And this was a rendering that was done this past week to show what the proposed changes would look like, showing either side of the stage opening. Those two angled walls will be totally replicated. Those four rectangular pieces above the door on either side were originally plaster, but in today's world we can do them out of cast iron for a lot less expense, but they'll look just the same, replicating all the plaster ornament around the stage. And then here's a view looking straight up at the stage, showing the proscenium arch that we are exposing, again raising this stage opening about 15 feet.
But you can only see that from part of the stadium, part of the auditorium.
From part of the auditorium,
couldn't see
because
it from
we're
way
not
back.
raising the entire ceiling.
If you go back to the previous slide, can you do that?
Yes.
That's the part of the ceiling you're moving?
Yes. About 15 feet from the...
15 feet?
Yeah, about 15, 20 feet.
One of the things that's been added is all the mechanical and electrical. I mean, obviously, in the 20s and 30s, it was never conditioned. It wasn't air conditioned or heated to the degree that we would experience today. And so there's catwalks and there's all kinds of equipment that's above that ceiling. So to take the rest of that ceiling out would,
That would be horrible. No.
But
I get that part. I just wondering if it's worth doing it anyway.
So what we challenged the architect with was obviously, because the proscenium arch is there, is to go ahead and get it fully exposed. And
Okay.
you can kind of see a horizontal black line in the curtain. That's where the existing ceiling more or less impacts the stage now. You can kind of see the curtain halves.
Yeah.
So the amount that they're able to expose is from that clearly all the way up to almost the original structure, and to at least get that revealed so that you kind of get that full effect.
Okay.
Here's a straight-on view from the center of the auditorium looking at the new proscenium arch, or the replicated proscenium arch.
Where do you think they're sitting, about halfway? The cameraman?
It's like about row 10 or so.
Oh, okay. Pretty close. Okay.
Costs right now, proposed change order request for the auditorium changes is right at $527,000. That's 4.63% of the contingency. Change orders to date are around $167,000, or 1.47% of the contingency. So if it were accepted, the change order total would be $695,000 overall, including those that have previously been accepted. The original contract price was $11,398,000. If this change order was accepted, new contract total would be $12,093,440.
So where we're at is we've had the architect do the study. You have not seen the change order yet. There's the final pricing is being prepared, and that's where the figures are coming from. But we have a really unique opportunity to restore some very significant historical memorabilia back to the district, and I believe we've got support from the district side to probably pursue this. We do have adequate contingency funds if it's the desire of the trust to move forward as well. And so with this presentation today, we really wanted to get your feelings on it before we brought back a formal change order and made that presentation, just to not catch you off guard or by surprise.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, how far is the job along now? Capitol High School, is it done?
Oh, no. We're about 6 to 8 months into the construction. It's a 2-year construction process. It's supposed to be complete around August 2012.
So we could have other change orders?
We will have others. There's a lot of hidden conditions that we've that we've gotten into so far.
That's the risky part, because we might have other
Well, the good news
regular change orders.
good news is we do have a pretty substantial program contingency fund that's still there, and obviously this is a chunk of it, but it wouldn't be something that we couldn't handle.
And it would leave us about 4% to work with up to that 10% limit. So that's the comfort level that, yes, you're discussing, and I think that that's something we're going to have to closely monitor, obviously, if we were to bring that change order forward for approval. So we'll have 4% remaining to work out the rest of the issues, if any, on the rest of the school.
You say the district thinks this is a good idea?
I know that we've been approached by Ron Milliken, who has a desire to pursue this, but it has not been taken to the district. You're the first to see this, and that's something that we would anticipate that the district would see in the coming month. At this time, we would have a change order prepared for your consideration in January. So we'll use the next month to make sure that the district's up to speed and make sure that they're on board to do this as well.
I think if the district is in favor of it, I think that we should proceed and move forward.
But there's no action today. I mean, it's just a presentation. It's just an update. It was something that we discussed at our last meeting. And so that's what we have for you, and take your comments forward. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have any other updates.
Are there any comments by trustees, staff, citizens? Seeing none, we are adjourned.